World Poker Tour. The biggest games, the greatest players, and the largest payouts on the planet. The WPT is a series of international high-stakes poker tournaments that can turn amateur players into millionaires and make professionals into superstars. With millions of dollars on the line, it's time for these 6 players to live the dream of fame, fortune, and the one thing money can't buy, a WPT title. Tonight, on the World Poker Tour.
The WPT comes to Spain, where in this castle, one lucky player will become as rich as a king. So, vámonos, Shufflependia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Sexton. Bienvenidos a España. We're here at the beautiful Casino Paralada, where we're just moments away from the start of the final table of the inaugural WPT Spanish Championship.
Hola, hello, and I'm Vince Van Patten. And Mike, the first ever WPT Championship from Spain was so big that not only did the players have to make the final table, but they had to make the final casino as well. And let me explain. We started out 4 days ago in beautiful Barcelona at the Casino Barcelona, where players from all over the world put up 7,500 euros each. And that is well over $10,000 U.S. cash to take home this title and get to this final table at this castle here in Paralada.
Well, Vance, this is certainly a spectacular setting for what promises to be an even more spectacular final table, because we've got a stellar lineup of international players, including 2 WPT champions at this final table. But the big story tonight is about our chip leader, Gus Hansen, the guy who's won more championships than anyone in the history of the World Poker Tour. Will he capture yet another WPT title tonight?
Well, the king of junk cards is back. Gus is here, but he's up against 3 very tough young professionals, one of them from California, Steve Sung, and a businessman from Austria, so he has some tough competition.
Well, Vince, he sure does. No doubt about that. The cards are about ready to fly. Who will be the first ever winner of the WPT Spanish Championship?
Will the king of junk become king of the castle? Let's go watch him gamble. We're right on the coast of Bravo, playing in this magnificent castle. 6 players remain.
Cheers. Let's have a ball.
Let's go over some practicalities. The antes are going to start at 2,000. The blinds are going to be 8 and 16. Winner's going to take home close to 800,000 U.S. currency.
Our current chip leader is 3-time WPT champion Gus Hansen. He has 962,000 in chips, and WPT champion Christer Johansson in second place with 855,000.
Now, if you're wondering about the increments of the chips on the table, the greens are 1,000 and the brown are 5,000.
And those chips are euros, because we're playing for euros tonight, since we're in Spain.
All right, the cards have been dealt in the castle. Hand number 1. Action is going to be on Steve Sung from Torrance, California. He's going to throw away a Queen 3. Gus Hansen, 3-time WPT champion, looks at his cards. It's a Jack 7. Not bad enough for Gus. He throws it out.
It's over the 22-year-old French law student Ludovic Luque, and look at this, Vince. He's picked up 2 aces on the first deal.
Oh, the atom bombs of poker, pair of aces.
Well, let's see what he's going to do. He's going to raise it. He's going to make it 42,000 to go.
Marcus Lehman quickly folding his hand.
Around to the Russian Vladimir Polishuk. He doesn't speak English, but he does play a lot of poker. Been a pro for 5 years. He lays this hand down.
Now Christer Johansson, who's taken a WPT title before. He looks at a big hand, ace, queen of spades.
Well, Christer's in the big blind. He won the inaugural WPT tournament in Paris, France. Would love to capture a second WPT title tonight.
Ace, queen, a very notorious hand on the WPT. He has knocked so many players out. But it's a strong starting hand, but little does he know what he's up against. The weapons of mass destruction by the Frenchman.
Raise.
Does not want a misstep here, but yes, he's going to fall into the trap, going to do a raise.
And a pretty healthy raise. He's made it 172,000 to go here.
Now look at Ludovic. I mean, seeing a raise of 150,000 when you got aces.
Now, Vince, he couldn't believe it. He looked back down at his cards again. Here it is, hand number 1 at the WPT final table. He picks up 2 aces. He not only raises it, he gets re-raised by an opponent.
Beautiful.
You got to pinch yourself.
Now he's almost short stacked.
Well, he's only got a couple 100,000 left after this raise of Christer, so be surprised if he just doesn't set it all in right here, right now.
I'm all in.
And there you go.
Indeed he does. He's gone tappy, as they say in France. He's moved all in.
I call.
And Krister says, I call.
Well, Krister about pot committed there. Nearly $600,000 in that pot. Only going to cost him about $225,000 more to make the call. So he has made the call, and he is not going to like it. He is a massive underdog here.
Ace, queen, spade.
Wow.
It's two aces versus the ace-queen of spade. So the WPT champion is going to have to get very lucky to win this pot. Let's see if he can do it.
Well, we call that a cold deck in poker. Just nothing you can do about it. Here's the flop. 2 8s and a 10. Not going to help our man from Sweden.
Well, Krister is now going to have to catch 2 runners to win this pot. 2 cards to make a straight or running queen-queen.
Ludovic up from his seat, trying to contain the excitement.
Queen, queen, or jack 9 would be fun. Or 8-8.
Yeah, running 8-8 would get them a split, of course.
8-8 is only half. I want the whole one.
Turn card coming up.
Well, there's one of the parts of the puzzle that he needs.
Whoa.
A queen comes off. So Krister is not drawing dead. He can now catch a queen and win this pot.
Another queen hits. There's going to be a lot of anger in the castle. Guarantee you that.
Ludovic might put a suit of armor on and go to war here. He gets outdrawn here, but it could happen.
River card coming up.
Well, the 6 of hearts comes off. So the young Frenchman, Ludovic Luque, taking down pot number 1. Magnifique, monsieur.
That's all you got to do here on the Costa Brava. Hand number 1, pick up aces, go all in, get paid off. Poker's fun.
Ludovic Luque off to a fantastic start. He has doubled up on hand number 1.
That was an interesting first hand.
The French connection, Mr. Lucky, off to a good start. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action from the WPT Spanish Championship in just a moment.
The title is very important, of course. After a year, nobody remembers who's second or third.
Chris Johansson from Sweden is going to be our champion.
It's the title you want.
Is he bluffing? I think he's trying to bluff me here. I bet that ace hit. What is he thinking? What is he trying? When the ace came off on 4th Street, he played with his chips. 13 to 1, 12 to 1, 16 to 4 to 1, 8 to 2. Makes my 2 pair good, unless I'm drawing dead. I like my chances. I'm all in. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Welcome back to the WPT Spanish Championship. We're at the Casino Paralata. 6 players remain. First hand taken by the Frenchman.
Well, it's a fairy tale beginning for Ludovic Luque, no doubt about that. Took a great step there toward trying to become the king of the castle here tonight. He's now in second chip position behind Gus Hansen.
Well, this has been a fun week here in Spain. We started out in Barcelona, spent 4 days down there, then we drove up to Paralata. Now they're playing for some big bucks. What a week this has been.
Well, action's on the amateur, Marcus Lehmann from Austria.
That's right. He's got an ace-7. Quickly folds his hand.
Fold.
Vladimir out.
Krister Johansson looks down at King 10 of hearts. He's not slowing down because he got burned on pot number 1, that's for sure. He's going to raise it. Looks like he's going to make it $45,000 to go.
Next to act, the man on his left, Steve Sung, has picked up all the King Kongs, pair of kings.
Unbelievable. Deal number 1, we find 2 aces. Deal number 2, 2 kings. And poor Krister Johansson up against both of them.
A raise.
Well, he is going to raise. It's going to be $135,000 to go. Now, you got to think Gus is a little jealous. He can't play any hands. These guys are beating him to it.
Oh, boy, this is the kind of hand Gus would love to play. Suited connectors.
I'm out.
When it's raised and re-raised, not even Gus can fade it.
He mucks it. Ludovic out. So it's back around to Krister, and he quickly folds his hand.
Well, he does. So the young 22-year-old pro from Torrance, California, taking down that pot.
And Steve Sung, he was born in Korea, a college dropout. He's very proud that he plays professional poker now for the last 4 years and has done quite well.
He's got a lot of friends here tonight. A lot of guys that play the tour, travel around with him. Former WPT champion Nan Lee, also Kirk Morrison, J.C. Alvarado, all here watching Steve tonight.
Okay, here we go again. On delay here in Spain. The kid they call the Vampire, Vladimir, going out. Krister takes a break. He's going to fold his Jack 4.
On Steve Sung now. This time he looks down at 2 5s. Won the last pot with 2 kings. Now he's picked up 2 5s.
He's getting a little rush in the castle early here, it looks like. Blinds are 8 and 16,000. And it looks like Steve is going to raise.
Yep, he's made it 42,000 to go here.
That's right, with the mid pair. Over to his left. Finally, Gus Hansen picking up a big hand. I don't think he's quite used to this. Big slick, ace, king of spades.
Unbelievable. The hands that we're looking at so far at this final table. 2 aces, 2 kings, ace, king suited.
Now, Gus is taking his time because, you know, usually he plays 6-4 so well. He doesn't know what to do with an ace-king.
I'm going to raise.
Believe me, Gus can play the big hands as well as the little ones.
Well, he has decided to re-raise. It's an additional 122,000.
A healthy raise by Gus Hansen here.
The Frenchman quickly folding. Marcus Lehman going out.
And we're back around to Steve Sung, who's got 2 5s. And unfortunately for Steve, and he's the first to admit it, he's got the worst seat at this final table. When you have an action-oriented player like Gus Hansen sitting right behind you, you just hate to come into a pot. You're not going to steal pots because Gus is going to play with you and come over the top of you quite a bit. You just hate sitting on Gus's right.
But you hate to have him push you around either. You got 5s. Is he going to make the call? Yes, he is. He is going to call it.
So he's going to gamble with Gus here. Healthy pot now. Over 360,000 out there.
Here comes the flop.
Oh, it's a dream flop for Gus. It's come king 10-6 with 2 spades.
Unbelievable.
Gus has top pair and the nut flush draw.
And the worst thing about it for Steve is he is first to act.
Well, he's going to check his 2 5s.
Now it's on Gus. Now you have a monster hand. Do you slow play it? Or does that look too obvious with a strong hand? Do you bet it and hope the guy gets crazy with nothing?
Gus Hansen going for his 4th WPT title tonight. Nobody else has more than 2. Gus always takes his time when calculating his bets.
And yes, he is going to come out with a bet. Looks like 160,000.
160,000.
Well, Steve Sung now contemplating what to do. And Vince, if this youngster makes the wrong move here, it could be tapioca pudding for him.
Yeah, you do not want to step on it right now. But it's so tempting because Gus can steal so many pots. You know how he plays.
Remember in yesteryear, when the soldiers outside the castle, they'd get on their horses with those spears and they'd joust each other, they'd charge each other. Well, right now, Steve looks like he's saddling up his horse, but in case he picks up that spear and starts charging, Gus is liable to knock him off his horse. He'll be in the moat.
All right, let's get back to real time, Mike. It's a big decision for Steve. Does he get out of line? No, he finally does the right thing. He folds, he goes away, and Gus Hansen is going to take down that pot.
So Gus, one step closer to collecting his 4th WPT title.
I think I'm not the best hand. Huh? I think I'm not the best hand. Don't do that too often.
Oh, he does it with a big hand. Gus Hansen extending his chip lead. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action from the WPT Spanish Championship in just a few moments.
Being directly to the right of Gus Hansen is definitely the worst place to be at the final table because that just takes away almost all my leverage on him. I'm like handcuffed, and Gus is basically beating me up. That's what it feels like.
Welcome back to the WPT Spanish Championship from Casino Paralata. 6 players remain, and the great Gus Hansen, 3-time WPT champion, is our chip leader with close to 1.2 million in chips. Right back at him. Action is going to be on the Vampire, Vladimir Polachuk. And this time he has a pair of jacks, and he says all in with it.
Well, he's the short stack here at about 120,000 left and just sails it to the center. Not going to fool around with any kind of smaller bets. Says if you can beat this, good luck to you.
Krister Johansson behind him with Queen 8 of clubs. Muck Steve out. Gus Hansen now with an 8-4. Can't expect him to play that.
Right to the Frenchman, Ludovic Luque. Ludovic picks up a king 9 of hearts. He goes out. The amateur from Austria out as well. So the Russian, Vladimir Polishuk, taking down his first pot at this final table. This guy used to be in the Russian military. He's now been a poker pro for 5 years.
Well, our comrade is a very intense player. He's a chess expert, and he doesn't speak a word of English. Of course, he could be lying about that. And I'll tell you something, right now, it is the big pairs that are winning most of these hands. We've seen aces, kings, jacks. They're taking the pots here, Peralta, so far.
And Vince, what's interesting is that Vladimir and the guy next to him, Christer Johansson, both are married, both have 2 children, and both their wives play poker professionally like they do. You just wonder, when it's time to do the dishes at night, do they play a hand of poker to see who does the dishes?
Well, the thing is, if they're both running good, you get a maid. All right, back down to the table. Action's going to be on the Swede, Chris Johansson, quickly folding a 5-4. Steve Sung now. He's got a Jack-10. Young 22-year-old out of Torrance, California. Professional poker player.
Well, we've never seen him at a WPT final table before, but he's got quite a reputation in the poker world already. One of the young phenoms, also a very deliberate player, like a Gus Hansen. Very calculating when he makes his moves. As you can see, he takes his time. Looks like he's going to play the Jack-10. He's going to raise it. He makes it 42,000 to go.
An early position, very interesting. And now Gus Hansen to his left, looking down at a Queen-10 offsuit.
Well, you know Gus. He likes to see a lot of flops. One little raise doesn't stop him very often. But still, he's got a few guys left behind him to act. Does he want to play the Queen-10 offsuit? Gus, a rock star in the poker world. I mean, before we started playing tonight, people came up to him. They wanted autographs, pictures with him. You know, people love Gus because he's an action-oriented player.
Yeah, not just that he's won 3 titles on the WPT. It's the way he won them.
Well, Vince, he also calls raises with hands like this one. Yep. Let's see if he does it here. There it is.
Yes, the chips go in.
That's why people love this guy. He's an action player.
That's right. All right, next to act, the Frenchman.
Well, he's got a Jack-9. Opts to fold it.
On to Marcus Lehmann, the businessman from Austria. He's got an 8-deuce. Can't think he'd play it. And he goes away.
And to Vladimir. Vladimir looks down at ace-9 offsuit here. It's the kind of hand you might contemplate against one player, but usually you're not crazy about these kind of hands against 2 players, especially if you're on a short stack. But
well, he's in the big blind. He's already got money in there. It's going to cost him an additional $26,000. Does the Vampire want to invest a little bit more here?
The Russian not rushing this decision. He knows these guys are very aggressive players. They could have anything, but still opts to lay it down. So it's the young pro, the 22-year-old Steve Sung versus 3-time WPT champ Gus Hansen. Here comes the flop. Ace-8-7 with 2 clubs. No real help for either player. Does give Steve Sung a gut shot straight draw. He raised before the flop. Will he make the continuation bet against Gus?
Yeah, he is first to act, and he's going to put chips out there. Looks like 55 grand.
Well, Gus quickly folding his cards here. Not hitting the flop, so give credit to the youngsters at this table, Vince. They're not fearing the 3-time WPT champion.
Gus playing very patient so far, not making any of his normal moves. No theatrics. He's going after a WPT title, his 4th one. Will he take it? Stay tuned. We're coming back for more in the Spanish Championship in just a moment.
Danny Wong is who I started playing poker with, and he made 3 WPT final tables. Nam made 3 WPT final tables. JC Tran made 20. Amnon, he made 2. Kirk made 1. I gotta win this. If I don't get first place, I'm gonna get a lot of crap from all my friends.
Well, Barcelona is the most dynamic city from Spain. It's the city of Miró, of Gaudí, of Picasso. It's a main cultural city in Europe.
I love this place. I love Barcelona. It's the first time I come here, and it's awesome, really awesome.
You are in the casino of Peralta, who is in the middle of big resort.
The castle is unbelievable. It is very classy, very stylish.
We have a golf course, we have a 5-star hotel, we have plenty of museums, and we are as well in a place where we produce cava, we produce wines with the big grapes. It's a place where we fight against the French in the 14th century, fight against the Spaniards, and you're going to fight now. We're going to fight in the poker table.
And welcome back to Spain. We are watching the Spanish Championship. I'm Vince Van Patten with Mike Sexton. 6 players remain.
Just incredible setting for a final table here on the World Poker Tour. We're literally in a 14th century castle playing this final table.
And right now, Gus Hansen, 3-time WPT champion. He's going after his 4th title, and he is our chip leader. Christer Johansson also won a WPT championship back in France a few years back.
Action's going to be on Gus.
I'm out.
And he quickly folds a 7-5.
Ludovic out as well.
Now Marcus Lehmann. He won't play. Haven't seen him play a hand yet.
On to Vladimir on the button. The Russian on the short stack at this final table now. There's a little bit less than 130,000 left, and he's going all in here.
Well, he should. A pretty good hand with the button. Everyone folded before him. Next one to beat is Christer. He has a queen 4. But he goes out.
Well, Steve Sung's picked up an ace-deuce in the big blind. Well, Vince, the problem for Steve here is even if you have the best hand right now like he does, against any hand, the most you're going to be is a 3-2 favorite. That's why this is a tough call to make with an ace and a baby card.
But he's got some money in there already. He's saying, I don't like to be pushed around.
Well, what Steve's got going for him, even if he plays this pot and loses it, he's still got about 500,000 left in chips. So he's not really going to be short-stacked, even if he plays the pot and loses it.
Just hate getting robbed of your blinds. You'd like to be the hero. This would be an excellent call if you should make it.
Look at the Russian. I mean, he's just trying to act like he's extremely strong, when in fact he's not, and Steve must have picked up on it because he's made this call with an ace-deuce, win or lose this pot. You got to give him credit for making this call. I think it's a very tough call to make that not many players would make, honestly.
Yep, he is a slight favorite.
Nice call.
Good luck. I don't know if it was a nice call, but
I would not call it.
if it was more that I can't call, but
It was only 2 cards you could call with.
Yeah.
Now it's the ace and the deuce.
Gus would have called too, I guess.
And right now he's getting the kudos from his buddy Gus Hansen. 50-50.
I think you're the favorite, actually.
Well, the Russian was remaining extremely stoic and looked very firm in his look there, like he had a big, powerful hand. I think Steve Sung picked that off.
All right, let's see if the vampire can get lucky here.
So here we go. The Russian all in.
Deuce. It's 1 deuce on the flop.
Well, here's the flop, and it's not good for the Russian. Pair of deuces there for Steve Sung. He's out in front.
Put a 9 on the turn.
Vladimir's going to have to catch a king or a 9 on the turn or a river if he's going to win this pot.
Otherwise, it'll be back to the land of the KGB and vodka bottles. 2 cards to come.
Well, there you see Vladimir's wife, Lena. She's sweating it out also.
Can the vampire suck out here? He's going to need it. Here comes the turn card.
Nope. 10 of diamonds comes off, so we are down to the river. And Vladimir must catch a king or a 9. Otherwise, he's going to exit in 6th place.
I see a paint.
Well, they say that the Russian doesn't speak 1 word of English, but if he did have 1 word, the word right now would be help. River card coming up.
Well, an ace comes off. Steve makes aces and deuces. He's going to take down this pot. And that's going to do it for our Russian friend, Vladimir Polishuk, out in 6th place tonight.
So our comrade's going to take home 83,000 euros. That's about 118,000 U.S. currency. Back to the vodka bottle for him. I have to say, he's an interesting player to watch. He's a gentleman. A fine effort. We are down to 5. Coming from the gorgeous Casino Paralata on the coast of Brava, we have champions in the midst here at the castle. Let's go back down to the table. Action is going to be on Christer Johansson, WPT winner in Paris, France in Season 1. Let's take a look at his cards.
So far, nothing's gone right for Christer. He's trying to get untracked, as we say, but here he just looks down at an 8-5 offsuit and mucks it. Steve Sung out as well.
Around to Gus Hansen with the button. And this, now he's got a Gus hand. 4-3 offsuit with the button. Let's see what he does with it. No, he's going to shockingly throw it away.
So round to the 2 blinds. The young Frenchman peeks down at a 6-3 offsuit. Now he knows the amateur Austrian is a very solid player, has yet to play a hand here at this final table tonight. He's going to try to take advantage of that and raise it up right here to try to pinch the pot. Let's see if it works.
Well,
comes in for 50,000.
Strong move by the Frenchman. And now Marcus Lehman looks down at a 6-7 of hearts.
No raise.
Look at this. He says re-raise.
Wow. Now Marcus on the short stack at this final table right now. Less than 250,000. You think he might want to see a flop and call with a 7-6 suited, but no. He is going to come over the top and raise with it.
Doesn't have that much more left.
I'm all in.
He's going all in. So there you go. Take that, monsieur.
He has been so patient all night. You think he would have waited for a quality hand, but no, he's going to gamble, and it's going to work.
That's the way you joust here at the castle.
Beautifully done by the businessman from Austria.
You want to win, you want to kill your enemy. Then they definitely consider myself as a wonderful roasted chicken. I'm going to be under attack. And so they really have to work to get my money.
Well, Marcus, a very successful businessman. The money's not going to mean that much to him here tonight. He is playing for this title.
He plays for recreation, but right there, he played as good as any pro.
From España, we'll be back with more poker action right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the castle at Casino Peralata here on the Costa Brava in Spain, where 5 players remain, and Gus Hansen is dancing out in front with close to $1.2 million. In second chip position, Ludovic Loquet with about 800,000. Steve Song with about 800 as well.
A couple years ago, Gus voted one of the top 50 sexiest men in the world. Poker community was happy about that.
Okay, well, it's going to be on that sexy beast, Gus, right now. And he's got an ace-9 offsuit.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be plenty good enough for Gus. Let's see what he's going to do. Gus, a very calculating player. That comes from his backgammon career. One of the world's best backgammon players, of course.
Looks like he's been growing out his hair the last couple of years, too. It's the first time we saw him.
Gus is going to raise it here. Makes it 54,000 to go.
Ludovic out. Marcus Lehman now with the button. Made a nice little steal there on the last hand. This time he has a 9-10 offsuit. He goes away.
Over to Krister. He quickly throws his hand away as well.
Only one to beat is Steve Sung, Gus's old nemesis here, in the big blind with a 4 deuce of clubs, already slightly invested.
Well, he's out of position, as we say, meaning he's going to have to act before Gus the rest of the way if you really want to get involved with a 4 deuce.
Well, you're trying to knock off the big whale. You know, you go up against Gus Hansen, it's bragging rights. You knocked him out, you played well against him, you got a little wink from the sexy beast. And when you're 22 years old, that's what you go after.
Realizes every decision a critical one, especially when you're up against a chip leader like he is right now. But he's going to make the call here. So Steve Sung displaying the fact he's not afraid to play pots with Gus. See how he comes out here. Well, flop comes ace, 5 deuce. Steve has flopped bottom pair with a gut shot straight draw. He's going to check it. Gus has 2 aces. Gus with the best hand.
Now let's go back to a few hands ago. Gus with ace-king, flop top pair, and he bet it. Does he want to mix up his play? This time he does. He decides, hey, I'm not going to chase the guy away. I like my hand. I'm going to try to trap.
Well, a 5 comes off, so Gus still out in front with aces and 5s. But as the cards lie, Steve is going to have to catch a deuce or a 3 to win this pot.
Oh, boy. You know, he's starting to swim to the deep end of the pool here. Getting in deeper and deeper. Getting chips out.
Well, Vince, with Gus checking on the flop, he may think Gus has got something like Queen Jack or Jack 10, 7, 8. He's going to take a stab at this pot, thinking perhaps his 2 deuces are the best hand. He bets 40,000.
Yes, he does. Now, Gus Hansen looking back at his hand. Usually the sign of weakness, but of course we know he's pretty darn strong here.
Well over 120,000 in the pot. The bet only 40,000. Now Gus is trying to figure out why would he bet this small amount unless he really wanted to be in there. Could he really made 3 5s? Does he have me beat? Does he have ace with a bigger kicker? Gus just opting to call here on the turn. And the 3 of spade comes off. Steve Sung has made a straight.
Unbelievable.
He now has the best hand. He had to catch a deuce or a three to have the best hand. He's done it.
Just creepy. Oh, that is just a sick river card.
Well, now let's see what he's going to bet. How much more can he get out of Gus? Well, this is truly bad luck for Gus, but by not betting on the flop, did he create his own bad luck? That's the question.
Not raising on the turn, too.
Yes, there's a possible full house out there. But if you make a straight on the river here, I would think you'd want to try to get a value bet in somewhere. And Steve doing just that. He's betting 80,000. Well, Gus still has the two aces.
Yeah.
You're just not going to put your opponent on deuces and threes and fours in this situation because he called a raise before the flop.
That's an automatic call, and Gus is going to call it. Let's watch him wince.
Well, he is going to wince when he sees this guy caught a straight on the river here.
There it is. There's the vomit control.
Well, when Gus honestly evaluates this hand, he's going to recognize he could have bet on the flop. He might have won it. He could have raised on the turn. Probably would have won it. Instead, he pays off another bet on the river to lose more money with it.
Well, it goes to show you, even the great Gus Hansen can be out of sync.
Not for too long.
So right there, Steve Sung is the hero at the table. He challenged the great Gus Hansen with a junk hand, out Gus, and he takes down that pot. And with that last pot, the ante's going up to 2,000. Blinds are going to be 10 and 20 here at the castle. Back down on the table, it's going to be on the successful businessman, the amateur at the table, Marcus Lehman.
Well, the only pot he's won at this final table was with the 7-6 of hearts when he moved all in with it. He likes those suited connectors. And as you can see, he's going to raise it here with the 8-7 of clubs.
Yes, he is.
Comes in for 60,000.
Into Krister, who has a queen-6 offsuit. Mucks his hand. Steve Sung behind him with a jack-4. Won't play that.
Now Gus Hansen in the small blind. And he peeks down at an ace-10 of spade. Pretty good hand here.
And another premium hand for Gus. Quite unusual.
Gus has got to figure out, would the amateur come in first position with a worse hand than this?
Gus just getting rivered there with his aces in the hand before.
Now notice he's staring over at the stack size of his opponent.
Either that or his cufflinks. I don't know which.
Gus, a very calculating player.
I'm going to raise half his stack.
Gus says I'm going to raise exactly half his stack.
Oh boy, he wants to just pillage the Austrian with a confusing poker professional raise.
Okay, well the raise is exactly 115,000.
And the Frenchman has gone out.
I'm all in.
Well, Marcus going all in.
It's not what I wanted, but I think that's the amount. But
well, me neither.
Yes, and Gus is quickly going to call it.
That's not what I wanted to.
Well, in my view, Marcus made a tactical error here. He should know Gus is pot committed here.
Yeah, but Mike, he's a successful businessman. He's got lunches to go to, people to text. He doesn't have to mess around with his poker baloney.
Well, Vince, you've got to realize there's over $500,000 in the pot. It's going to cost your opponent $130,000 to make the call. He's going to call with any two cards here. Not the correct time to go all in.
He believes in his hand. He believes in getting on a plane out of here fast in case he loses.
Well, as the cards lie, Gus Hansen about a 2-1 favorite to win this pot and eliminate the Austrian from this tournament.
Yeah, we could be down to 4 just like that here at the castle. And look at this, Gus and the businessman seemingly bonding at the table with smiles.
So don't worry. And
Whatever
don't be upset when the 7 is the first card coming up.
Two rich men
that's
thinking
okay.
about how to get
I can do
richer.
it. Might be the 7 of spades giving me some out.
Yeah, good.
Well, one way to get richer is to win this pot, that's for sure. Let's see who's going to do it. Gus out in front with the ace-10. He's up against the 8-7 of clubs.
Here's the flop.
Oh, an 8 comes right on the flop.
Uh-oh.
The amateur from Austria, Marcus Lehman, now out in front with a pair of 8s as the flop comes king 8 deuce.
This could hurt their friendship.
Run around the flesh, come on.
Here comes the turn card. The 9 of diamonds on the turn. Doesn't help Gus.
Gus Hansen needs to catch an ace or a 10. Otherwise, the amateur from Austria is going to double up.
Look how confident Marcus looks.
Well, the deuce of clubs comes off. So in back-to-back pots, Gus Hansen getting pretty unlucky here at this final table.
Yes, he is. He's not quite as smiley as he was a few seconds ago as he gives the chips back to Austrian businessman. Nicely played by him. 5 players remain. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more exciting action here on the World Poker Tour.
The action here in Spain is muy caliente, and there's much more to come. Don't go away.
Hello, beautiful. Oh, yeah.
No one to play with? So play online at partypoker.com. It's fun, it's easy, it's the world's largest poker room.
You folded?
Welcome back. Hola, buenas tardes. We are back in Spain for the Spanish Championship where 5 players remain. And right now, Gus Hansen taking the last hit. He is no longer our chip leader.
No, the 2 chip leaders are the 2 22-year-olds at the table. Steve Sung out in front. He's got 929,000 in chips. Ludovic Luque from France with a little over 800,000 in chips. So right now, the young gun's doing it.
All right. Back to the green felt. Gus Hansen quickly folding his hand. Mr. Luque going out. And now Marcus Lehmann with Queen 7 and the button. He also folds.
So around to the 2 blinds. Christopher Johansson in the small blind looks down at a King Jack, a hand known as Kojak, and he's going to limp in and call with it. Doesn't raise with the King Jack.
And behind him, Steve Sung in the big blind with an awful-looking 6-4 offsuit. Has the option to raise. Will he do it?
Well, he can see a free flop, but when his opponent limps in, he's wondering, wonder if I could win it if I raise this pot, but he opts to check and see a free flop. And here it comes. Oh, it's come King 6-4.
Oh.
Buckle up, folks. You're going to see some fireworks here.
So on Christer, who has top pair, he's checked. Steve right behind him with 2 pair checks. And look at this, a jack on the turn gives Christer kings and jacks.
Both players slow playing their hands. Both think they have the best hand. Steve Sung is about to get a wake-up call.
Well, Christer has gone out and bet $30,000.
Well, both players figure they have the best hand with 2 pair each trying to milk the other out as much as they can get out of them, but
the milk is going to be very sour here for one of these guys.
Well, right now it's sour for Steve Sung. There's 2 possible flushes out there, 2 possible straights out there, so I can't imagine Steve is just going to call here with 2 pair. And when he raises, the gong is going to go off from Christer Johansson. Well, Steve is going to raise it. He makes it 100,000 straight.
That is just music to Christer's ears.
Well, it is. Christer's only got about 300,000 in total.
I'm on it. Call.
There he goes.
He's moved all in. Steve has quickly called him. So Steve Sung, the victim a little bit of bad luck here. And I say that because when you flop 2 pair in a heads-up situation, you're not going to get away from it. You're just going to give your chips away. You can't help it. It's not over, of course. He can catch a 6 or a 4 and make a full house to win this pot.
What can I do?
But right now, you see him. What can I do here?
Well, even if he would have bet on the flop, he's going to get a quick call by Christer, no doubt about it. So you're not going to shake him loose. This is just cold deck time. And right now, Steve Sung is on the wrong side of it. Christer smiling. His wife in the audience smiling as well. The river card coming up. Will it be nice to the Swede? Yes, it is.
Well, the 10 of diamonds comes off. So Christer Johansson is going to double up here. And there's a little unfortunate luck for the 22-year-old Steve Sung.
Yeah, he was the former chip leader up until that hand.
And Vince, in back-to-back pots, the 2 chip leaders doubled up the 2 short stacks. And you talk about the game being on again. Wow, is it ever?
So an annoying little loss there for Steve Sung. Flopping 2 pair, but paying it off to the Swede.
Well, in poker, sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes your opponents make mistakes. Sometimes you're obligated to play pots. There's a case that you're never going to get away from 2 pair when you flop them right there in that situation. It's just bad luck for Steve Sung.
All right, back down to the table. 5-handed poker going on here in Spain. Actions on the Frenchman Ludovic Luque. He's got a king 6 of clubs.
Well, that's good enough for him to raise under the gun. He comes in for 60,000.
Yes, he does. Into the Austrian businessman, Marcus Lehmann, non-professional player, but playing quite exceptionally here tonight. He's got an ace-8 this time, Mike.
Well, he's got one of those marginal hands. I think most players would just get rid of this hand. It looks like Marcus wants to play it.
He is tempted. His fiancée, Nora, in the audience here tonight. He's 46 years old, out of Austria. He has a very regal look about him. Kind of reminds me of, remember the father in The Sound of Music? The captain, Von Trapp, Captain Von Trapp.
Yes. Well, just give him a scarf around his neck. He'll fit right in.
Call.
In the meantime, he's got an ace-8 offsuit.
And he is going to call.
Going with his poker instincts, just doesn't think the Frenchman's that strong, and he's right about it. He makes the call. Now, right behind him, Christer Johansson has picked up the mid pair. He's got 2 7s, the 2 walking sticks. Now, what do you do if you're in Christer's seat? The guy under the gun raised the pot. The guy next to him called. He's still got the blinds to get by. You could make a case for any of the options here with the 2 7s.
That's the old mid-pair dilemma. Let's see what the Swede does. Will he be content with just a call and seeing a flop? Or will he go for the whole smorgasbord out here and push up a raise?
I'll make it 250.
Wow, he's going to raise it.
Oh, yeah.
He's taking door number 1. He's going to make it 250,000 to go here.
Going to get aggressive. Now, Steve Sung right behind him going out. Gus Hansen now with a king 5.
I'm out.
He goes out.
Ludovic quickly out as well. And Marcus throws his ace-8 away. So what a play by Christer Johansson right there. And Vince with that pot. Christer now takes the chip lead at this final table. And folks, that's how you win WPT titles, by making plays like that.
Nicely done. He's on a little bit of a rush right now. The former electrician sticks the soldering iron into his opponents. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more exciting action in just a moment.
Welcome back to Casino Peralada for the first ever WPT Spanish Championship. Hey guys, I'm Layla Cayley, and here's how the battle to become King of the Castle has gone so far. As the night began in Spain, all eyes were on the great Gus Hansen as he gunned for his 4th WPT title. But it was young French sensation Ludovic Luque who stole the spotlight early on by doubling up with pocket aces on the very first hand. Another young pro, Steve Sung, showed he had the skill to mix it up with the Great Dane and drive a stake through the heart of a vampire. Now the battle at the castle continues as Gus Hansen finds himself clashing with 2 young guns, a WPT champion, and a suave amateur with nothing to lose. Can the king of the World Poker Tour survive to capture his record-setting 4th win, or will his reign in Spain come to an end? And now back to our very own knights in shining armor, Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten.
Welcome back to Casino Peralada in Spain. You are watching the WPT Spanish Championship, where 5 players remain. And right now we have a new chip leader. It is the Swede, Christer Johansson, out in front with about 742,000 in chips.
Yeah, the WPT champion out front right now. But Vince, we could have a record here on the World Poker Tour in terms of the closest chip count with 5 players left in the tournament. There's only 107,000 difference between the chip leader and the guy in last place right now. So certainly anybody's game from here.
All right, cards being dealt. Round and round we go here at the castle in Spain. Action's going to be on Steve Sung from Torrance, California, originally out of Korea. Very tough 22-year-old.
He looks down at the suited connectors, the 7-6 of spade. You like to see flops with that hand, but Steve, under the gun, first act, opts to throw his hand away.
And now it's on Gus again, and this time he has a queen 7 of hearts.
And folks, this is why he's Gus Hansen. Most people will just fling this hand to the muck, but not the mighty Gus. He's reaching for chips. He is going to raise it with a queen 7 here, 63,000.
Okay, back on the Frenchman, and this time he's picked up ace 10 of hearts. Got the button, good position. He knows Gus is liable to play anything, which he is.
Well, he's going to make the call this time.
Yep, he's going to mix up his play, not going to raise with it. And now Marcus Lehmann. Well, he's got a pair of 3s here.
Well, he's got one of those hands that you like to see a flop with also. And it's the kind of hand that's easy to play. You either flop a set, or you get out.
Well, he's worked very hard at getting his chip stack up there.
Got 10,000 out there. Going to cost him 53,000 more to make the call. He could also come over the top, but he opts to lay his hand down. Doesn't get involved with the 2-3s. Krister throws away an 8-3 out of the big blind. So here we go. We're going to have a flop between Gus Hansen and Ludovic Luque.
Flop comes up Jack 4 deuce. No help to either player.
Well, Gus just has the Queen 7. The question is, will he make the continuation bet? Let's see what he's going to do. Well, Gus is going to bet. He's bet 84,000 at this pot with absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just his queen high. Will that be enough? Sticking the chips out there into the Frenchman. Now, what's he going to do?
Well, most guys were just mucking this situation. They haven't got that much invested. They have absolutely no hand, no draw. I mean, even Gus Hansen can have a hand once in a while.
And Gus trying to stay very stoic here. Not blinking, not breathing. Just doesn't want to hear call or raise at this point.
Now, Ludovic reaching for chips here. Look at this, Vince. And a lot of chips. Meaning it looks like he's going to come over the top of Gus. But
yeah. Oh, Gus is in poker hell right now. He would love to hear fold. But he's not. The Frenchman's going over the top. He's going to make a raise. Going to make it 225,000 to go.
Well, this is an unbelievable play by the young Frenchman.
Look at that. It's just pain there for Gus Hansen.
Yes, you got to take your hat off to this young Frenchman. He is not afraid to come over the top of Gus Hansen.
Oh, yeah. And look at Gus looking pained. Like he's been listening to too many Yoko Ono albums.
No way he can call a raise here with his hand. Now, yes, Gus could come back over the top for all his money and perhaps win the pot right here, but could he possibly make that play? Gus does lay his hand down. Well, Vince, there's a hand that you got to chalk up to the Frenchman's instincts. He just thought Gus took too long, was making some kind of move, opted to come over the top to try to take the pot down. Terrific poker instincts and a great poker move by the young Frenchman there.
A lot of great players out here on the tour. And we're seeing one right now from Caradon, France. Ludovic Luque.
Vince, amazing that this young Frenchman is playing Gus Hansen like a fiddle here right now.
Oh, the king of junk taking his licks right now. Can he come back? We will see who's going to be king of the castle here. Coming back for more on the WPT. Welcome back to the WPT Spanish Championship. We are at the Casino Peralada on the Costa Brava. 5 players remain. And right now, the Frenchman is out in front. He's the chip leader. It is Ludovic Luque. He's got close to 1.2 million chips. Right back down on the money pit. Action's going to be on Krister Johansson. This time, Krister from Sweden has a Queen 10. Let's see if he elects to play.
Man, he's tired of watching all these other guys getting the action. He's going to try to get in and mix it up a little bit himself here. He raises it up, makes it 55,000 to go with the Queen 10 offsuit.
Steve Sung has gone out, and now Gus Hansen not going to play. He's going to take a breather.
So Ludovic Luque in the small blind. He looks down at the Jack 10 of spades. He's got the suited connector. He's also got a big chip lead.
Leans his body over, seeing stack size of Krister. Very important to do in No Limit Texas Hold'em. You want to find out exactly how much money's on the table with your opponents at all times.
Well, when you've got chips, you love making calls like this. Ludovic doing so here.
Around to Captain Marcus Lehman, the businessman, amateur player who's playing quite well here tonight so far. He's got 10-3 of clubs.
Well, he's got 20,000 in the pot. Going to cost him 35,000 more to make the call. A lot of money out there, 140,000, but he opts to lay it down and let these 2 chip leaders fight it out. So 2-way action here. The young Frenchman, Ludovic Luque with the Jack 10 of spade. WPT champion Krister Johansson with the Queen 10. Here's the flop. The flop is 9-6-3, all different suits, no help to either player.
Action on Ludovic Luque. He's been so aggressive. Will he take the lead here after the flop? Yes, he does.
Well, Vince, he is betting right out because it's 3 middle cards that are out there. He's hoping that Krister has 2 overcards that aren't paired and may just get out of this pot right here.
Yeah, it's 85,000, but Krister not going anywhere. He's saying, why would you bet if we were really strong?
Well, he is making a call in hopes to try to take this pot away from his opponent on a later street. And the 6 of spade comes off. This gives Ludovic a flush draw now. Action's on him again. This time he checks. And just as we suspected, Krister is quickly betting here. Remember, he called on the flop. Now he's going to bet on the turn with just a queen high. Bets 140,000.
He's taking the advantage of saying, I know why you bet on the flop. I don't believe you, and now I want you to believe that I am pretty strong. I'm betting into you.
How much you got behind?
Will it work? The Frenchman is saying, how much more you got left?
511.
Close to 500,000 left after that $140,000 bet. Now, Ludovic does have a flush draw here. I don't know if he calls this and makes a flush. Can he get paid off?
I raise.
Well, forget about calling. He's raising here with the flush draw.
I'm all in.
Wow.
What a play by the young Frenchman here, Vance. Krister Johansson read him perfectly on the flop. He was going to try to take this pot away from the guy on the turn. Instead, Ludovic retook it back from him.
Yeah, he knew what the other guy knew.
Well, I don't know what you're saying, but poker is a people game, that's for sure. You play your opponent. You know what they're thinking, you're thinking.
Don't steal my line.
Well, whatever it was, Ludovic thought right there. He moved in and took down the pot.
Oh, boy, I tell you, my respect goes way up for the Frenchman. This is one world-class player we are watching here tonight.
I really want to win this. It's really important for me. There's not that many French people that made final table. People think French players are bad, and I want to prove that French people can be really good. That they have to fear us.
Very impressive. He is world class. He is playing exceptionally well right now. Let's get back to the table. Action's going to be on the Swede, Chris Johansson. Humiliated there just a little bit. This time he's got 10-3. Goes away.
Well, down to the 2 blinds. The 2 guys who did a lot of sparring early on at this final table. Steve Sung and Gus Hansen. It's on Steve. And Vincey's got that 4 deuce again. That's a hand that he won a huge pot off Gus earlier at this final table. Well, he has made the call.
Throws in the additional 10,000, and now it's on Gus. Gus has an old school Gus hand, 7-4 offsuit.
And remember, folks, Gus can take a free flop here. But that's not the Gus Hansen way. When his opponent limps in, he pops it up. He is doing that right here.
It's raised it to 78,000 to go. Back on Steve Sung.
Unbelievable.
Don't hurt yourself, Mike.
That the guy in the short stack can raise with this kind of garbage.
Back on Steve. Equally bad garbage. 4 deuce.
Well, remember, that's a hand he called to raise and beat Gus before, but
yeah.
Didn't figure to take the pot away from Gus here because Gus is so short stacked. He opts to give up the 4 deuce.
Well, I'm so glad Gus won. I mean, that's the Gus we know. We have been seeing an imposter, a fraud, a clone of some sort. Not the Gus Hansen that we just saw there playing 7-4 so well.
He's just fearless. He just keeps on raising. He just never stops. He keeps on raising, and always puts you to the test. Always puts you in the hot seat.
I'm all in. He's a great player, of course.
Gus is fantastic. He is amazing.
Everyone thinks that he's crazy, that he plays bad cards, which is why a lot of players are willing to bet all their chips against him. He uses this confusion to his advantage, and when he gets a really good hand, he takes it all.
It seems like my style works, so I mean, they can say whatever they want to say. I think I know better.
He knows how to play his stack well. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. I've been playing with him for at least 2 days, and he's played his stack very well.
I'm here to win the tournament. I'm chip leader. I'm definitely looking to add another title. Of course, it's nice to have 4 and nobody else is close, but I don't put too much emphasis on it. I want to sit down at the final table, play good, and hopefully win it.
2,000 blinds, a 10 and 20,000. The game heats up here. Ludovic Luque out in front with 1.4 million. Steve Sung, 627. Marcus Lehman, the captain, with about 606. Winner's going to take home a WPT title and close to 800,000 U.S. currency. It is all up for grabs here tonight. Back to the action. Marcus Lehman looks at a 5-3, doesn't play that.
Krister Johansson going out as well.
And now Steve Sung with the button. He's got a 9-8.
Well, he's gone into a conservative mode here. Lays that hand down. So it's the battle of the blinds here. Gus Hansen peeks down at ace-10 of spade. Nice hand out of the small blind.
Yes, it is. It's a premium hand. That could be a problem for him because we know his nice hands don't pay off usually. Getting back to his 7-4 again. Hopefully he can pick up some momentum after that last one.
But he is going to raise it. Like he's made it 74,000 to go here.
And right behind him, the Frenchman Ludovic has got the Eiffel Tower as the pair of aces. Doesn't get any better than that.
Unbelievable. And to pick them up in the big blind, the best place you can have them. Nobody thinks you have a hand in the big blind. Remember, Ludovic picked up 2 aces the first deal at this final table and doubled up with them. He's got them again. Let's see how he's going to play them.
Frenchman, and he's just going to slow play him. Just call.
Doesn't re-raise with the 2 aces right here. Going to try to reel Gus in. Let's see if he can do it. Yeah, the flop comes queen 6-4 with 2 hearts. It's no help to Gus. Action's on him.
He raised before the flop.
Well, Vince, if he makes the continuation bet here, he could be continuing to head toward the exit of this castle.
You're right about that.
Because his opponent is just sitting back waiting to reel him in with the 2 aces.
Well, will he make the ultimate mistake here?
You know, Gus's problem is all he's got left is a little bit less than 300,000. So 158,000 in the pot right now. Just seems like if you're going to bet, you have to go for it all.
And look at Ludovic. He's swirling around there in the background, looking away, trying to be very nonchalant, like he's disinterested in this.
Oh, that's what he's saying is, s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît, get your money out there.
Trying to seduce this bet.
Oh, he's doing it. Gus Hansen has moved all in here.
I call.
Oh, boy. And he's got it.
All right, I'm dead.
And the Frenchman quickly calls him, and Gus knows he's beat. He's going to have to catch 2 running cards to win this pot.
I was going to all in before the flop anyway. I had a feeling.
He knows he's fallen into a trap here.
2 running 10s.
He's hoping he's got some kind of out to win with.
Good luck.
Folks, it looks very bleak that Gus is going to capture his 4th WPT title tonight. The Frenchman not only holding over Gus and outplaying him earlier on, really catching some cards here at this final table.
Not that that'd change anything.
Gus Hansen up against it now. He's going to have to catch 2 running cards to win this pot. Has to be exactly a king and a jack or 2 running 10s. That's the only way he can win this pot. Well, a king comes off.
Okay.
Gives me about 8.8%.
Well, Gus nods his head. He knows he's got a shot now.
I don't like my chances.
He needs a jack to win this pot.
I don't like my chances.
He'd make an ace-high straight. And if you're the young Frenchman, you're saying, oh, no, messieurs, don't do this to me.
Gus Hansen needs the miracle.
Well, he needs a jack. It's the only card that can save him right now.
And here's the river card.
And it's a 9 of spade. That's not going to do it. So Gus Hansen, 3-time WPT champion, will not pick up his 4th title tonight. He is out in 5th place.
Just not to be for the Great Dane. It is all over for him as he gets the standing ovation in the castle.
Nothing seemed to go right for him at this final table.
Good luck, guys.
Out tonight in 5th place.
Well, he is very disappointed. The great Gus Hansen has to say goodnight. 5th place, picking up 140,000 approximately U.S. currency. And right now, he's going up to talk to Layla.
I'm a little unhappy with the way I played. I think actually the last hand, as I was grabbing my chips, I kind of sensed that he was very eager to play this hand.
Aces again? Yeah, red aces again.
But
red aces.
maybe if I had been a little sharper, I would have picked up on that and just held back. That would have changed pretty much everything. Of course, I was looking for more than 5th in this, definitely going in as the chip leader. But that's how it goes sometimes.
You win some, you lose some.
There'll be another one.
And just like that, we are down to 4 players at the Spanish Championship. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action on the WPT.
Welcome back to the WPT Spanish Championship. I'm Mike Sexton along with Vince Van Patten. 4 players left.
And Ludovic Lequet, the 22-year-old from France, taking control of this event at this point.
Well, he is well out front now, no doubt about it. A couple guys very short on chips now. Steve Sung and Christer Johansson going to have to make something happen soon if they're going to take down this title.
Action's going to be on Christer from Sweden. Looks at a very ugly Jack-6 offsuit. He elects to fold. And now it's on Steve Sung, and look at this. He has picked up a hand. Pair of kings.
It's a dream hand in a short-handed poker game. Let's see what he's going to do with them. We've seen the guy bet and raise with a 4-deuce. Call out of the big blind with 6-5. Call raises. Now he's got 2 kings. He limps in on the button.
It's nicely done. Now the Frenchman has an 8-6. And he's going to call. Around to Marcus Lehman. Oh, but he's got a huge hand. Pair of aces.
I raise.
This is unbelievable. Aces versus kings in a 4-handed poker game.
Make it 90,000.
Makes it 90,000 to go here. This is bad news for Steve Sung. No way he's going to get away from this. He just limped in and hoped somebody would raise it so he could come back over the top of him.
Be careful what you wish for. He's going to get all the action he wants here.
Not sure he's got enough chips to even raise it here without going all in. I can't imagine he would just call in this situation to possibly let Ludovic in this pot also, where now you got to be 2 players instead of 1 with the 2 kings. Well, he has going all in here. Ludovic going out. And Marcus saying, yippee you ha.
And you get aces. So
it's what you dream about when you're playing no limit hold'em, where your opponents are moving all in on you and you've got 2 aces.
Oh, I thought you had aces too. Oh my God.
Steve Sung cannot believe it. And Vince, there's no poker player in the world that could get away from this hand or doing what Steve did here.
The Californian, this could be his swan song. He has been dominated at this point. Aces up against kings.
Well, Steve Sung, all his buddies are up there in disbelief here.
Will this be the demise of Steve Sung? Here comes the flop.
Yeah, flop comes Jack 9-8 with 2 hearts. So Steve Sung is going to have to catch a king or 2 running cards to make a straight here. Otherwise, he's going to be out in 4th place tonight.
Sung's buddies, championship players behind him, all watching, wishing, hoping, praying for the miracle. And he gets it!
The king comes off. Vince, the king comes off, but there's now 3 hearts on the board.
What a sick card that was.
In addition to Marcus being able to catch an ace to win this pot, he can now catch a heart to win this pot, as long as it's not the jack of hearts. Well, all Steve's buddies are jumping up and down for joy, but Steve remaining relatively calm. He knows there's 1 more card to go. They got to dodge a heart or an ace on the river to win this pot. Let's see if Steve can do it. Here comes that river card. It's a 10 of hearts. Wow. Marcus has made an ace-high flush to win this pot. And Vince, that has got to make your stomach turn.
That's why I can't celebrate.
You catch the miracle card on the turn to take the lead, and then whammy, you get outdrawn on the river.
Just a colossal turn of events here in the castle in Spain. Suck out and then another suck out. Steve Sung, our 4th place finisher, put through the ringer here tonight.
Well, Vince, I got to tell you, Steve Sung, very unlucky here tonight.
Well, look, you're in a castle. It's a bad poker beat. Might as well just kick the court jester and get out of here. Complete devastation for him. Picks up a nice paycheck, but just like that, we are down to 3 on the WPT. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action in just a moment.
Welcome back to the Casino Peralada in Spain, where they make their own wine right here at the castle, which is a good thing for Steve Sung, who probably needs a drink right now because he's been cold-decked out of this event in 4th place. Winner's going to take home close to 800,000 U.S. currency.
Well, it's come down to a former WPT champion, Christer Johansson, an amateur businessman from Austria, Marcus Lehman, and a 22-year-old law student from France, Ludovic Luque, who is the monster chip leader right now with over 2 million in chips.
Back to the table here in the castle. On Christer, he quickly folds his hand. Around to the Frenchman, the chip leader with over 2 million. He's got a 10-6 this time in the small blind.
He's got a massive chip lead. In his mind, the player on his left, the amateur, a very tight player, as we would say. So you sum up that combination.
80.
And you come up with a raise. And that's exactly what's happened. 80,000 to go by the young Frenchman.
Trying to make it sealing time, but Marcus has a king deuce of hearts.
I call.
And he says call. He's not going to get pushed around.
You're right, Vince. Doesn't even hesitate to call with a king deuce.
Making a nice adjustment in the short-handed poker game. So we got 10-6 up against a king deuce.
Well, here comes the flop. Now, flop has come ace, king, 8. Marcus has flopped a pair of kings. Ludovic has flopped nothing. Action is on him. Apparently going to make the continuation bet. Indeed he is. He bets 100,000.
With absolute zip and pip.
This is going to put pressure on the Austrian here. He's got second pair. His opponent raised before the flop. Bets again on the flop. Now if you're sitting in Marcus's seat, you know if your opponent's got an ace or even a king, you are beat.
Well, this is going to test the nerves of the Austrian.
A raise.
Wow, he says raise here.
Well, Vince, he's not going to call this bet. He is going to come over the top with it. He is betting 300,000 here. Just doesn't believe the Frenchman's got it. And indeed, that's exactly the case.
Well, the Austrian's cred is going up here in the castle because that's a strong move. Just nice adjustment, changing gears here. And I tell you something, he might be an amateur player, but that's a professional move right there.
That move will make the downhill skiers in Austria very proud of their man there. Even if his opponent had a king with a bigger kicker, by raising it there, Ludovic might think he had an ace and lay down the better hand. So a great move by the amateur there to come over the top with just two kings. A daring move, a bold move, but the right move at the right time.
Interesting guy. He's 46 years old. Been playing poker for 35 years. He's showing some talent here tonight.
He's played a very conservative game, but coming down to short-handed, he is looking to change gears and is going to step it up a bit, something he has to do if he wants to win this title.
Marcus this time in the small blind has an ace-3.
A raise.
And he's going to raise.
Make it to 90.
Talk about changing gears. He's going to make it 90,000 to go.
You can't blame him for raising here. Got an ace high. He's only up against the big blind. Figures to be the best hand. So he's going to make it 90,000 to go.
But the Swede behind him with a queen 9 offsuit. And this is piquing his interest.
Well, these guys know that you just can't sit back and fold every hand. Blinds and antes will gobble you up. At some point, you've got to play a hand, whether you like it or not. Krister doing it right here, hoping to get lucky on the flop.
So two-way action. The Swede, the WPT champ with queen 9. The amateur player with ace-3. Here's the flop. 8-6 deuce. Helps neither player.
Now Marcus checks. And Krister checks right behind him. So here comes the turn card. Well, 7 of spades comes off. So now a potential flush and potential straight on the board.
Gives Krister an open-ended straight draw. And Marcus with no potential anything.
140.
Doesn't care. He's going to bet 140,000 into the Swede.
Well, this is a very bold bet without a spade in his hand, without a straight draw in his hand, with no pair. Now, Krister does have an open-end straight draw.
Sure does.
How can you play this hand when your opponent bets out into you?
Well, he is going to lay the hand down. So once again, Marcus picking up the pot. Very astutely, I might add, with absolutely nothing.
We'll chalk that one up to Marcus. Bold bet on the turn to win that pot.
Let me tell you, if you're a distributor of Herbalife for so many years, basically you're selling product. And right there, he was selling the bluff. 3 players remain. It's anyone's game at the Spanish Championship. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action here on the World Poker Tour.
Welcome back to the WPT Spanish Championship. We're down to 3 players. They're fighting it out for nearly $800,000 and a coveted WPT title. And all 3 of these guys desperately want to capture that title, but for different reasons. Marcus said he'd like to win just to prove to himself and to other amateur players that they can win these WPT events. Ludovic Luque, of course, is playing for France. He says he wants to prove to the world that French poker players are better than they think. And Krister Johansson, going for his 2nd WPT title, wants to join that elite group of multiple WPT winners.
So none of them are playing just for the money, huh?
Well, a couple of them are, I'm sure.
All right, back to the table. It's going to be on Ludovic with the button. The Frenchman playing for his country with 6-5 of diamonds. He's going to call this. Right behind him, Marcus with the 7-5, also limping in.
Marcus is the one player at the table playing for the title, not the money.
Oh, stop it with that.
And Krister peeks down at an ace-6 offsuit.
Calling.
Now, Krister Johansson can take a free flop or he can move in on him, and that's what he's doing.
And the Frenchman and the Austrian both go out.
Good bet by Christopher Johansson there. Both players limping in. He suspected they were just trying to see a cheap flop. Figured his ace-high was the best hand. Indeed it was. He moves all in, and they quickly move all out.
The red aces are showing up again, see?
Well, Mike, very little limp-in poker here on the WPT anymore. Guys, make you pay for it, unlike your home game. These guys play for real. They're playing for big bucks, and they're playing to make you pay for it.
Well, Christopher Johansson, very astute at picking up pots like that.
He is building up his stack very nicely. Antes still remain at 3,000. 15 and 30 of the blinds. Action back on the Frenchman, the chip leader, Ludovic Loquet. And he goes out with his Jack-6. Now Marcus Lehmann, the Austrian with King-5 of hearts. He is going to call this. And right behind him, the Swede, Christer. He's got Queen-10.
Yeah, let's see a flop.
He opts to check and take a free flop. Now flop has come 10-8-7. Christer out in front now. He's flopped top pair.
Marcus quickly checking. And the Swede getting some chips out to protect the top pair, it looks like.
And he's going to bet 50,000 here.
Now Marcus hitting nothing there.
Call.
No.
He's calling here, Vince. Very peculiar to me. He's got no hand and no draw.
Well, maybe he's thinking about taking the pot down with a bluff later on.
Well, that'd be surprising to see an amateur try to make that move. Let's see what he does. Well, he spikes a king on the turn. And again, he checks. Now, if you're Christer, you saw the guy check and call on the flop. You're probably suspecting he's got a potential straight draw. So you don't want to give him a free card to draw at it, so you're going to bet. That's what Christer's doing. He's bet 90,000 here. Now let's see what Marcus is going to do. He hit the miracle card on the turn to take the lead here.
I raise.
Well, he is going to raise with the two kings.
300.
He's going to make it 300,000 to go. And he is going to put the WPT champion not only to the test, but perhaps to the mat right here. So Christer should now recognize that this guy's not on a drawing hand, that he's got a hand.
Well, they just don't know how this guy plays yet. They don't know whether he has bluff inside him or he's just waiting for cards. So that is the deception of being an amateur player, so-called amateur player. And right now this is kind of confusing for Christer.
Well, Vince, the way this hand was played, it was checked and called on the flop, and now the check raise on the turn. Would you really think this guy was bluffing out of pot here? Christer's got about 400,000 left. Well, he's going all in here, Vince.
I call.
He thinks he's got the best hand. He's putting it all out there. And he's been called by Marcus very quickly. Well, Christer Johansson stubbed his toe a little bit right there in my view. Yes, he got unlucky on the turn, but I'm not sure he had to put that last 400,000 out there. As it is, he needs to catch a queen or a 10 to stay alive in this tournament. So just that quickly, the WPT champion could be out in third place.
And he is up on his feet. He knows he has misstepped there in a big way. Christer Johansson, one card away from elimination. His dream of becoming a two-time WPT champion in complete jeopardy right now.
If it's not a queen or a 10, we're going to be down to heads-up play.
Marcus Lehmann with a huge opportunity right now with one card to come. Will his hand hold up? Will he go into heads-up action here at the castle?
Here comes the river card. Well, a 6 of hearts comes off on the river. Well, that's going to do it for Christer Johansson from Sweden, out tonight in third place.
A shocking upset in that hand. The Swede, Christer Johansson, 37 years old, from Hovelken, Sweden, out. And he manages a big smile. He's going to pick up $214,000 in U.S. currency. And just like that, we are down to two players. Heads-up action about to begin. But first, our money presentation.
Well, as is the custom on the World Poker Tour, we get down to heads-up play. We have our money presentation. Vince, we're in this beautiful castle, and out comes the cash.
And the dames from Spain with a beautiful presentation, putting down the big euros. Winner's going to take home $750,000 U.S. currency.
537,000 euros going to our champion tonight. as well as that coveted WPT title and entry into the WPT World Championship event at the end of the season.
You got the chip set as well, and the castle model. It's all up for grabs here tonight. Heads-up action about to begin. Stay with us for the Spanish Championship. We're coming back for more on the WPT.
Hello, Mr. Cunningham. Alan, it's a big pot out there, buddy. I'm all in. Don't be scared.
I call.
Only a donkey would make that call.
We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Welcome back to the WPT. The Spanish Championship continues, but we are into heads-up action where one of these players is going to take home close to $800,000.
It's come down to an amateur from Austria, Marcus Lehmann. He's up against a 22-year-old law student from France, Ludovic Luque. They're starting out with about the same amount of chips. One of them is going to walk away with nearly $800,000 and a coveted WPT title.
That's right. The blinds are going up to $20,000 and $40,000. Who's going to take down the first Spanish Championship here in Casino Paralata? Cards are being dealt. Action's going to be on Marcus Lehmann, the businessman from Austria. He's got a King-9 this time.
Well, he's going to raise it up. He makes it $100,000 to go.
Right behind him, Ludovic, the professional, 22 years old, going to call with 9-7.
Going to cost him $60,000 more to make the call. He wants to see a flop, makes the call, and here comes the flop. Well, it's come Queen 9-3. Both players have flopped a pair of nines. Ludovic, however, up against it because he only has a 7 kicker. Marcus has a king kicker.
Okay, Ludovic's going to check it, though.
140.
Marcus, no hesitation. He's going to bet $140,000 with the nines.
Well, back over to Ludovic. Tough to get away from second pair in a heads-up situation. And Ludovic is going to make the call here for the $140,000.
Here comes the turn card. A 5 of clubs helps neither player.
Again, Ludovic checks. And Marcus contemplating what to do, how much to bet. He's got to think his 2 nines are the best hand right now. And I say that because if your opponent had a queen in his hand, you would have thought he would have raised you back on the flop. That didn't happen. So I'm sure Marcus is confident his 2 nines with a king kicker are good right now.
300,000.
Well, he has analyzed that nicely. He is going to bet $300,000 this time. That is one stiff bet into the Frenchman.
Got a tough decision here. This is part of the problem. When you're checking and calling, you're always at a guess as to whether your opponent's got it or not. You're far better off to lead out and bet to gain information sometimes.
Well, he has gotten stubborn. He has called this.
And he has made the call.
I put you on 10 jack.
We are going to the river. Here it is. It's a 10 of diamonds. Helps neither player.
Well, neither player liking to see that card. They know if either guy was drawing at a straight, they either made the straight or they made 2 10s, which beats their 9s.
Ludovic not messing around, checking again.
Now Marcus taking his time here. Well, you want to get a value bet in here, but the only way a value bet works is A, if you think you got the best hand, and B, if you think your opponent is going to pay you off. That 10, a very scary card. Recognize there's over $1 million in the pot.
Check.
And Marcus going to be happy just to take the $1 million. He's checking it down. He's going to win this pot. And you can go back to that old poker proverb. It pays to have a kicker. Marcus's kicker wins this pot for him.
It's over $1 million. So now Marcus Lehmann, the amateur player, well out in front. And Ludovic, look at him. He's kind of talking to himself. He's saying, hey, I knocked out the best players in the world here. I'm up against this amateur. This should be a little easier than that. And with that last hand, the blinds are going up. Blinds will be $25,000 and $50,000 now. We're going to start to gamble in the castle.
Well, what a turnaround we've seen here. Since we've been playing three-handed, Ludovic Luque was well in charge of this final table, but we've seen a tornado in Marcus Lehmann. He has won a number of pots in a row by being aggressive.
Well, not this time, because Ludovic with ace-jack has raised it to 125.
Well, you can't blame him for raising here. This is a big hand and heads-up play.
Now Marcus with a 9-6. Looks like he wants to compete here.
He's on a roll. Feels like he might be priced in here. Cost him $75,000 more to call. Why not play this?
Well, the funny thing is one guy's 22, one's 46. And the 46-year-old looks fresher of the two. The body language, he looks like he can go all night. Whereas the Frenchman is sort of deteriorating before our very eyes.
Well, he had a huge chip lead at this final table a short while ago. Now he's up against it. Well, here comes a flop. King, queen, queen with 2 hearts. No help to either player. Does give Ludovic a straight draw. Action on Marcus here. Now remember, he's just got a 9-6 offsuit. Has absolutely nothing.
He's taking his time. Is he thinking about a possible steal here?
His opponent raised before the flop.
150.
Oh, wow.
Well, this Marcus is just fearless. He must think he's a matador here in Spain or something. He is trying to control this bullfight, no doubt about it. He's betting $150,000.
But Ludovic, well, he has called this.
Now, as to me, if you're Ludovic here, I don't think you can put your opponent on a king or a queen in this situation.
And a 6 on the turn. That's going to pair Marcus.
Well, Marcus now has the best hand. He has queens and 6s. Again, he got lucky, caught a card here, and now has the best hand. Well, he's staring over at Ludovic, staring back.
300.
Well, Marcus is going to bet $300,000 with the 2 6s. He thinks Ludovic's got some type of straight draw, perhaps a flush draw. Not going to give him a free card here. Betting $300,000, putting the hammer down.
Now it swings back on Ludovic, and he would just love to come over the top. But the problem is, he doesn't have bluffing chips to do it. He'd be called down. Things have turned in a huge way for the Frenchman, who was so in control before against all the best, against Gus and all the young studs here. But right now, he is confused, baffled, and going broke against the Austrian.
Well, you're right, Vince. I believe the amateur has him rattled right now. He didn't raise it on the flop when he could have taken this pot away from the guy. And now he's in a quandary as to what to do. Well, he's going to throw his hand away. So continued aggressiveness by the businessman from Austria wins him yet another pot.
And Ludovic Luque now just slumped over. Very disappointing. How could he slip away to the amateur? Marcus Lehman swinging to the lead.
We're down to 2 players, but only one can be king. We'll be back from España right after this.
Welcome back to the WPT Spanish Championship. We're down to heads-up play, and we could be seeing an upset in the making. Right now, the amateur from Austria, Marcus Lehman, he's out in front with about $2.5 million in chips. And the 22-year-old young pro out of France, Ludovic Luque, is sitting on $950,000.
Crazy times in the castle. No more Gus Hansen, no more Christian Johansson, WPT champions. It's all about Marcus Lehman right now, the amateur from Austria. Here's the button. He has a king 8 this time.
125.
Yes, he's going to raise this up to $125,000 to go.
Well, Vance, he has bet and raised on every street in this heads-up battle. And you know the Frenchman is dizzy right now.
Yeah, he has turned into the Temple of Doom. Very discouraged. This time he's got an ace-5.
Well, he's got the best hand right now. Just can't imagine he's going to get away from an ace-high in a heads-up situation, especially from a guy who's been betting on every single hand on every single street.
Well, this could be his moment of truth. Down to his last $500,000. Just a short time ago, he had 3 times as much as any player on the table. He was the massive chip leader. All was right with him and France. And right now, he's down and out in the streets.
Raise.
But he is pushing chips in with a re-raise.
350.
350. I call.
He's going to make it $350,000 to go.
And Captain Lehman going to put the chips in, so he has called this.
Well, Marcus beat him in the pot virtually. There's $700,000 in the pot right now, and Ludovic is down to his last $600,000.
Well, he's got ace-5 up against king 8. Can Mr. Luque get lucky again?
Oh, Vince.
Not there.
Ludovic has flopped second pair with top kicker, but Marcus has flopped top pair. This could do it for the young Frenchman.
I'm all in.
And he goes all in.
I call.
And a quick call by Marcus Lehman.
Big pair.
Well, he is not going to like it when Marcus turns up his hand, I can tell you that. Well, there you go. You see his reaction. He says, I can't believe it. Every single time this guy outflops me or beats me in the pot.
Good call pre-flop.
It is just a rough time in the castle for the Frenchman.
Well, certainly it's not over yet. The Frenchman can catch an ace or a 5 to take the lead. He could also hit 2 running spades and make a flush, or 2 running cards and make a straight. But he's got to have help. Otherwise, this tournament is toast.
Good luck.
Marcus Lehman, non-professional player, shakes hands with the Frenchman.
I think I'm going to win this one. I don't know why.
Will it be his time to take the first Spanish championship?
Everyone on their feet.
Question is with an ace or with a 5?
Here comes the turn card. The 3 of clubs comes off on the turn. So we are down to the river card. And Ludovic Luque, the 22-year-old Frenchman, must catch an ace or a 5 on the river. Otherwise, Marcus Lehman will be our champion.
Here is the river.
It's a 4. So there you have it. The amateur from Austria has captured this title, Vince.
Congratulations. You played fantastic.
And I'll tell you, you got to salute this guy. When we got down to shorthanded play, he took the bit by the horns, as we say. He started firing at every single pot. Aggressiveness won this title for him.
Oh, he has. He's really proved himself. He is world-class all the way as he gets a big hug from his fiancée.
Cinderella puts on the glass slipper here tonight. The only amateur at the table takes down the title. Here's to the winner of the inaugural WPT Spanish Championship, Marcus Lehman from Austria. For Vince Van Patten, Layla Cayley, and everyone at the World Poker Tour, I'm Mike Sexton saying thanks for watching. And until next time, may all your cards be live and your pots be monsters.